Well, you've been a big advocate for making sure emergency evacuation standards are up to par. And I did also want to briefly touch on another incident that happened recently, this time outside of the US. The Japan Airlines jet that was engulfed in flames, yet all passengers were miraculously managed to evacuate in 18 minutes. So, what do you think the US can learn from that experience?
Well, what we can learn is that it was not a miracle. It was good training and preparation by Japan Airlines, and kudos to them. I've often said, and you've heard me say this, Kat, that aviation regulations are written in blood. Japan Airlines was able to evacuate that aircraft and get everybody off safely because aviation regulations are written in blood, and they had lost an entire aircraft of passengers during an evacuation process a couple of decades earlier where everybody perished because they were not able to evacuate the aircraft. And when they learned from that, they did quite a few things in terms of their culture within the airlines, how they train their cabin crews. They did something as simple as making sure that there are bullhorns on the flight as backup communication equipment for the air crews. That's not part of what we have on American Airlines. And even on the Alaska Airlines incident where the door plug fell out, one of the problems that is coming up right now is they said that the cabin crews couldn't talk to each other, and they couldn't talk to the pilots, they couldn't talk to the passengers because it was so noisy. Had they had bullhorns on board as standard equipment, they would have been able to better speak with one another. And so what we need to do here in the US is look at our evacuation standards, which have not been updated since the 1960s. Congress did direct FAA to do a simulation, which they did a couple years ago. And they said they were able to evacuate to the 1960 standard of 90 seconds, but they only put 60 people on the aircraft, no carry-on baggage, nobody under the age of 18, and nobody over the age of 60, and nobody with a disability. Obviously, that's not real-world flying conditions today. It may have been in the 60s, but it's certainly not today. And we need to know exactly how long it's going to take so that the cabin crew knows what they have to do to get people off. And so that also, Kat, the emergency personnel, all those firefighters and the fire trucks rushing towards the aircraft to help evacuate people, if they think that the aircraft is evacuated in 90 seconds, they're going to be less worried about, oh, it's been more than 90 seconds. We know that everybody's off the airplane, instead of, oh, you know what, it's only been 90 seconds. It takes at least 5 minutes. We better make sure that we go after all the passengers that might still be on the aircraft. So it's just a safety protocol that's going to help both the cabin crew, but also the emergency personnel get those passengers off as quickly as possible.